I would ask you to sit closer, but I'm guessing your legs like really hurt.
No, they feel fine. I just wanted to show you my crotch.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Well,
hey, Matt.
I'm so happy you made it.
Oh, you're recording already.
I'm recording already, like I always am. I had no doubt you were alive because we know what a scrappy individual you are. But when we lost track of you there for a while, I was like, all right, well, like he'll make it back. Like even if he like misses the time cutoff, like he's not gonna die. He's Aaron Newell. He's a resourceful fucking guy. He'll make it through on spite and snark if he has to, but he will survive.
Yeah, there was some touch and go moments where it was like, yeah. I tried to drop out twice.
And they were like, keep going.
No, they were like, okay, it's going to be 12 hours for us to get a snowmobile out here because all the aid stations are put up with snowmobiles. And so after 50 miles, I was like, I'm done. And they're like, yeah, it's going to be 12 hours. And I was like, oh, fucker. And so then I just like went to sleep for like 4 hours or something, just outside in a tent. What? And then I woke up and they were like, yeah, it's going to be another like 7 hours. And I was like, all right, I'll just walk to the next one and then maybe they can get me out quicker. And so I like jogged to the next one, which was 17 miles away.
So wait, are you on skis? What are you on?
Oh, wait, sorry. Let's preface this whole thing. This is a 100-mile running race on snow. And there's 4 aid stations, one at 25 miles, 50 miles, 67 miles, and 84 miles. And it was actually like 105 miles. And like 8,000 feet of climbing that felt like 30,000 feet of climbing.
Well, and were some people doing it on bikes?
Yeah, so some people were on bikes, and bikes was like definitely faster. I think the lead bike did it in like 14.
So wait a minute, hang on. You're telling me that 2 wheels is faster than 2 feet?
Yeah, surprisingly, I know.
So
I mean, it was mandatory fat bike. Like you had to have a fat bike. Pretty much everyone was on like a carbon fat bike.
Well, here's also something funny. When I first, I was checking that link, I don't know, whatever, when I realized checking it frequently was not good, I just was like, I'd think about it. I'd be like, oh, it's been another 8 hours. Let me check it. So when you finally finished and I posted it, I put he lives, and like Nicole messages me and it's like, have you talked to Aaron? I'm like, do you think he reached out to me before you? Like, no, I haven't spoken to him. I'm just posting that I saw the result.
Yeah, I like didn't bring my phone, didn't bring what I don't know. I had a watch which like didn't work so well just because the distances were kind of off. And then they gave me a tracker at 25 miles, which apparently so they were supposed
Why didn't they give it to you at 0 miles?
Yeah, so they were supposed to. They had like this certified shipping from this company that was supposed to get there like a week ago, and it like wasn't there. And they were supposed to give it to me the day before, and so they were like, well, our plan now is to like just wait at the post office until they show up. Like this is a town that has 2,000 people in it, and the post office is like, well, yeah, I mean the box might be here, but like we can't find it. And so like they just stood at the post office for like 14 hours until the box showed up. And then once the box showed up, they hopped on a snowmobiled to the first aid station. And then what's up?
What's up?
River, what did you just ask me for, buddy?
Can I get some Honey Nut Cheerios?
Oh, they're all out at Costco.
No, Daddy just came back with 2 giant boxes.
Wow.
Why don't you get your brother to make you a bowl, buddy?
No, how about you?
Because I'm on a call with Aaron Newell, who just survived a 100-mile snow race.
Your dad survived Costco. I hope he washed his hands.
Oh, shit, I gotta wash my hands. Hang on a second.
Pause.
Jackson, make River a bowl of cereal, please.
Everybody knows that Matt took his headphones out to say that. Like, people couldn't hear him.
I know I wanted them to hear me. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to yell, even though the microphone's here. And anyhow, well, let's back up. What attracted one Aaron Newell to this race?
Well, so I wanted to do it a couple months ago, and then Spartan put out the Ultra Series thing, and I was like, well, I might as well do the Ultra Series, even though I'm not contracted to do it, because why not? And but then Slow got canceled on Wednesday, and then and then like within an hour, I had emailed the race directors for the drift and was like, please let me in, please let me in. And the race starts Friday. And so Wednesday night at like 9 p.m. they let me in. So then I like hacked apart some shoes, glued some warm enough uppers onto my TJ Maxxes.
We definitely need to talk about the shoes. I saw the shoes in the post. Again,
Yeah.
this is the resourceful person that I know you to be, which is why like I watched you fucking retrofit like HVAC into like Nicole's van or whatever the fuck else you can do. I've seen you, you know, I know you're a resourceful cat. So talk to me about these shoes.
Yeah, so when I was in Sweden, I couldn't find like gaiters that worked well for my shoes. And so I took luggage covers and hand sewed them and then glued them onto my shoes. And yeah, they worked amazing. They had like a buckle and they're sweet and they worked great. But I ripped those off my shoes after I was done because we went to Tenerife and I wanted something to run in. And so I didn't have those anymore, even though they were perfect. So when I found out I got in, I ripped the uppers off of a pair of Salomon XA Alpines, which is their like winter running mountaineering type shoe, and then glued it onto my BJ Maxxes. And yeah, they worked really well.
So when you rip off the upper of another shoe, how do you start? Do you start with a knife and then it just rips right off?
No, you've got to cut it the whole way around. Yeah, I used a razor blade the whole way around. But this one was weird because the way they make that shoe, they basically have a shoe and then they like put it on afterwards. And so like there's a shoe encased in it. And so I was trying really hard to not like nick the shoe underneath so that I could still run in them afterwards. And so now they're just like a weird looking summer shoe.
So so you start the race and you make it to aid station 25. By the way, not to sound like whatever, but it seems to me that a winter race in the dead of winter maybe give a couple more aid stations. I'm not saying make it easy, but
yeah,
maybe a couple more than every 25.
Well, so most people I found out on the start line were using sleds, and I was one of two people using a backpack. And so like everybody else had this like sled setup where they just had like a belt around their waist and they'd tow a sled, which like sounds way harder, but like it's so much easier. And like the only time it's beneficial to have a backpack is like on a steep uphill, and that's about it. Just because there's.
Do they ride them on the downhills?
Yeah, they ride them on the downhill. So like,
and that's legal?
Yeah. And like so basically on the flats they have like less weight because it's just sliding along. And then on the downhills they're literally riding the sleds. And then on the uphills it's like even kind of. Maybe there's like a little bit preference towards the person with a backpack, but like it's so much easier with a sled. And so there's not that many aid stations because in theory you can carry way more stuff with a sled. Like we all have like stoves and we have like sleeping bags and like there's all this mandatory equipment that adds up to like 15 pounds before you add in water and food.
Right, but aid stations also serve as medical and evacuation things.
Yes, but the whole
so still have everybody carry everything, but have a couple of aid stations set up for, you know, aid.
Yeah. But they had people like driving around on snowmobiles. I mean, not frequently. Like I saw a race snowmobile like, I don't know, 4 times. But like, like I definitely didn't see anyone for like, I don't know, 8 hours once. Like, like it was like 12 plus hours between aid stations.
So you started the race on what time on what day?
On 9 a.m. on Friday.
And you
then
finished?
I finished 5 a.m. on Sunday.
And what was the cutoff?
Cutoff was 9 a.m. on Sunday.
And when did you finish?
But like, I finished at 5.
Okay, so you
4
made
hours
it.
beforehand. Yeah, then I promptly drank 2 beers at 5 a.m. on Sunday. But what was I thinking about? Yeah, so whatever, run the race, get to mile 25, feel great, start going to mile 50, and my backpack started like fucking with my neck, and my neck started like seizing up, and then it got like so tight to the point where I was like, my vision was starting to go, and like it was getting all fuzzy, and then I was getting like really dizzy and nauseous, and I was like, oh, I'm just getting like really altitude sick, which is weird. Like I was coming from North Carolina, so it shouldn't have been, but like I'm fine at altitude, so it shouldn't have been that big a deal. But I was like on all fours, like in the middle of the trail, like what the fuck is going on? And then like I got passed by the first guy, or the guy who was behind me, who I had like I had a 20-minute lead going into like mile 30, and then within like 2 miles he passed me. And then by the time we got to the mile 58 station, I think he was like 4 hours ahead of me, or 5 hours.
So you were in the lead at mile 25 aid station.
Yeah, easily. Yeah.
And they were like, we're going to pass this fucking idiot.
Yeah, basically. No, I mean, like, I was like jogging to that point. I was like super comfy. I was like, yeah, this is great. Like, the wheels will probably come off at some point. I don't think it's going to be in 5 miles, but yeah, I mean, like, my neck just like did this weird thing where it just like tightened up to the point where like I was having vision problems. I just was like, it was terrible.
Where are you now?
I'm in a hotel because I tried to drive back to Boulder yesterday after finishing the race, and surprisingly, I was tired.
Are you in a Super 8 right now?
It's like America's Best Value.
Yeah,
that's
like what was my second guess. I know that setup.
Nice.
I know that setup well, my friend. I've stayed in many and not so great hotel.
Yeah.
So, did at any point you think you might actually die out there? You might think I'm going to drop. I'm going to literally, my body's going to drop and I'm going to be dead.
The only time I was worried about it was like, so it like got dark at like mile 30, like when I was at like mile 38, and you were just like up on this ridge, and it was just like roller after roller, these like massive up down hills, and like I didn't see anyone, and I would just like be walking on the trail, and like basically the thing with the neck was that like I'd be walking and it would hurt a lot, and then my foot would like slide out from under me, and then I would like try and catch it, and then my neck would like seize up really hard, and then I would like basically black out and fall to the ground. And so I was worried that I was gonna like pass out and then freeze, and like nobody would come for a while, because it was basically like me, 3 guys, and then like a 3 or 4 hour gap to like the next person. Like it was a big gap. And yeah, so I was a little bit worried about that, but like I don't know, I was like, I just gotta keep going.
So for the last, say, 25, were you walking? Were you shuffling? Were you jogging?
Let's see. I got to mile 87 aid station, which was supposed to be 14 miles from the finish, which I think, or sorry, no, mile 84, which is supposed to be 17 miles from the finish. And I think it was actually like 20 something miles from the finish. I like tried to drop there. I was like, guys, I can't do it. I'm done. And like they knew at that point that like how fucked up my neck was. They'd seen me during the race and at the 50-mile aid station where I tried to drop, and they were like, yep, it's gonna be 12 hours. And I was like, again? Like we're like 20 miles from the finish. Like you can get a snowmobile out there, and these guys are like cooked. Like they rode 350 miles on snowmobiles that weekend. Like, and they were just like, one of them fell asleep on a snowmobile. And they were like, yeah, we can't do it. And I wasn't like trying to press them to do
No,
it.
of course not.
Like,
They're doing their thing.
yeah, I was like, yeah, I mean, I can like set up outside and go to sleep. Like, it's not that big a deal. But then like, well, one of the race directors at mile 50, when I was like telling him I was thinking of dropping, was like, yeah, I think you gotta just stop thinking about this as like a competition for first, and just like people should like just compete with themselves. And I was like, no, I'm racing for first. But I don't know, it just like sat inside of my head and like festered, and I was like, motherfucker. And like I got passed and passed so many people who were just like, I just want to finish this race, I want to like get past this time cutoff. And I was like, motherfucker, like,
Yeah,
like, no,
I think
like,
you're like, there's only 2 people behind you. One didn't even start, I think.
one didn't finish,
Right.
and then the other one actually finished after the time cutoff. So technically, I was dead fucking last. But basically, like I like hung out with all these people who were like chasing the cutoffs, and I was like, well, I'm, no offense to them, but like a better athlete. Like, I can finish this if I really want to. So I like told him I was gonna drop, and then I like sat there for like an hour, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll just walk to the finish, because like I'll probably get there before they can snowmobile me back. And so yeah, I started walking really slowly, and then I like realized that if I ran really, really hard and then walked, that my neck hurt a little bit less. If I like ran like 8-minute pace and then like
Right.
walked like 30-minute a mile pace,
Right.
my neck hurt less. So.
But see, I think this is what's great about any ultra, is that yes, you're a better athlete than those people, but not on that day. You weren't.
No, not on that day. And like logistically, I like fucked myself before the race even started. Like, everyone had a sled, and like anyone who'd done any race like it knew that, except me.
It's like John Madden always says, you are what your record says you are, right? If you're 8-8, you can't say we're a better team than this. It's like, nope, you're 8-8. So I'm gonna just take a guess that maybe there's a website, maybe there's a pre-race email or two that has the word sled in it.
No, I like scout. I mean, like, I knew that people use sleds, and like before, like the day before the race director was like, oh, you're using a backpack. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I did that once. And like, so like before the race started, I knew that it was like a bad idea. I just didn't know why. And then it became apparent that like running with a 25-pound backpack that doesn't really fit me, like, has consequences.
I mean, listen, this is coming from I'm the king of the rules don't apply to me. All right. When I did that 29:029 thing and I saw these guys with poles, I was like, I mean, I guess I'll bring poles, but
I don't use poles.
But what are you kidding me? I had to borrow some from someone, and I'm like, I guess by lap 4 or 5, I'll be using poles. Lap 1, right? Everybody passes me, right? And they're just like, see you later, buddy. And I was like, I guess I'll use them for lap 2. So at least I brought them. At least I didn't leave them at home. But again, like, I know what that's like to like think like, well, I'm fucking better than this, or I don't need it because the rules don't apply to me, or I'm a rebel, whatever. But it just didn't say like highly recommend. It just said like, yeah, maybe bring a sled.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure somewhere, like, I mean, part of the issue is I literally got into the race less than 36 hours before it started. So like, I was just like, like I left less than 12. I left 10 hours after I got the race email, and 7 of those hours were sleeping. So like, I had 3 hours to put together an entire kit for 100-mile ultra,
including sewing your own gaiters on,
including gluing my own gaiters on, and getting a backpack from Doza, and going to REI and buying stuff, and going to Neptune Mountaineering and buying stuff. So like, and before the race, they were like, at the gear check, they were like, you tried all this beforehand, right? And I was like, yeah, I use it all the time. And he's like, you know that this fuel mixture for the stove isn't winterized, right? And I was like, yeah, but I've used it before. It works. it like says very clearly like doesn't work below 14 degrees, and I was like, no, I just put it in my jacket and I warm it up beforehand.
Dude, it's like I've seen people go to the death race and they're at gear check and like they're opening their like water straw that they've never fucking used even once before.
Yeah,
And they're like unpacking all their REI shit.
Yeah.
I'm also that person too, by the way. No judgment. I'm also that person.
But yeah, so a sled would be helpful.
So listen, while you're out there, I'm not sure if you've heard of this, but while you're out there, the world appears to be coming to an end. All races are getting canceled. We're looking at least end of April minimum. Have you had time to think about that? You just gonna roll?
Whoops.
I thought you were like gonna do. I thought you were gonna do a slide presentation. Well, here's me on Mount Kilimanjaro.
Let me show you. Yeah. So I actually passed this lady. Oh wait. Oh, sorry. You asked me about something else. I'm still kind of out of it. Ask me about passing the lady in a second. Yeah. So the reason why I went is because I was like, oh, there's no races coming up, and that was before.
But at that time, it was only one race. It was just that weekend.
Well, at that time, it was only one race. But I was like, well, Washington has canceled every event until the start of April, which still doesn't include Spartan Seattle. But I was like, I don't see there's any reason that this is going to get better by the time that Seattle comes around in 4 weeks. So, like, why not? Or 3 weeks, 2 weeks, however many weeks it is. I was just like, well, I could do a 100-mile race and feel like shit and then not race Seattle, or like, I don't think it's going to happen. And is it not happening?
Well, Seattle is definitely not happening in 2 weeks. I mean, we know that. They went ahead and said they said 30 days about 3 days ago. Let's just go ahead and assume. Okay. Let's just go ahead and assume they bump it another month as things start to close down, right? The question is, do it later in the year or just reschedule? Joe went live today and did what he does, which is say something that he made up that the PR
say something that he hasn't checked with anyone who has anything to do with it.
So today he went live and was like, yeah, any race you don't do, just do it next year on the same date and like it'll count or what. And it was like, okay. So what? Like automatically it'll be renewed for 2021. Like that's like, it's not happening, but it'll happen next year.
Okay.
Which, listen, I think they can look, they already do, like, imagine all the races they already do in the fall, right? They can't triple and quadruple up weekends. There's not that many trucks. So
yeah.
So yeah, like some might happen, but clearly not all. And you know, I got to say that this is one of those things that like people's reactions are a little insane. Like,
oh yeah,
like
I mean the handful of people who I've seen who are like being annoying about it, it's like, motherfucker, you paid like $200 to go to this race. You have expendable income. It's not like you were like, oh, this is my last $200.
Well,
like,
and if you did, that's on you. But I'm just saying, like, in general, you might want to just like, now listen, again, calling myself out, okay? I just paid for this co-working space, okay? I just paid, it's $50, by the way. It's this thing called Switch Yards. It's this very hipster. They have 3 or 4 different locations, free coffee, blah, blah, blah.
You're not talking about your video studio, are you?
No. I stopped working there a while ago. Anyway.
Oh, I liked them.
No, me too, but it went sideways in a call we can have later. But yeah, it went sideways really quickly, unfortunately. But I just paid $50 and then you pay $50 for something. Anyway, and I got the email that was like, hey, we're closed till April 1st. And my first thought was, well, fuck you. I just gave you $100. Like, that was my first thought because I literally just gave it to you, right? Like last week when things were still kind of whatever. And then I had a moment and was like, maybe I won't be the guy that sends the email because everybody is fucked right now. Everybody's fucked.
Especially the people who own the co-working space.
Right? Like, and like they're going to pay their employees anyway for the month. And it's like, okay. But again, so I'm a human. I had the thought, but then I didn't actually act on it. So that's what I ask other humans out there to do. Realize this is not Joe DeSena being greedy or Reebok wanting your money, even though Reebok doesn't even like have a, it's like, maybe we just give all the races a bit of a pass and we just see how this thing shakes out and move on.
Yeah, I mean, like Spartan's one thing, like they'll be fine, they'll survive. But it's like the people who are like going after these like independent race directors who have like 3 races and like I don't know, it's like 200 people each race and like they barely get by and people are asking for refunds from them and they had to pay like they've already bought the permits for all these things. And,
Of
like,
course, and the
they have to
medals
pay
and
for
everything
it.
else. Of course they have.
Yeah. And so like when people are like, I want my money back, this is insane. How could you just like I mean it's fine to ask for your money back, but like at the same time, these people put in like most of the work to put a race on, so like have some compassion for them.
Right, especially if it's like was going to be in the next 10 to 15 days.
Yeah, like all their work's done. All they had to do is just show up. I don't know.
So tell me about passing this lady.
Oh yeah, so at like mile 50, I fall asleep, whatever. I leave the thing at like 8 a.m., like an hour before the cutoff. And then I like caught up to this lady who some snowmobilers were like, yeah, there's a lady up there. She doesn't really like know where she is. And I was like preparing for like some old lady who has like no clue where she is. And it's like some like 40-year-old lady who's like crushing, but like, and she's like super happy and is like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like just hanging out with her and she's moving pretty slow. And I was just like talking to her for a while and she's like, you can go. And I was like, oh no, it's fine. I've got nothing else going on. Like, and she has a sled and, yeah, but whatever, that's besides the point. And, she's like, oh, we're almost to the aid station. There's a building right over here. And I was like, where? And she's like, right there, the bottom of the ravine. And I'm like, there's nothing
She's
there.
hallucinating?
And she's hallucinating. And then like, we get there and she's like, oh, there's no house. Never mind. And then like a minute or two goes by and she's like, oh, it must be right up here. There's like a man waving. And I was like, there's no fucking man. And like, it just went on. And like, she did it like 5 times in the span of like 20 minutes. And she was like, I eventually was like, you know that you're like hallucinating a lot, right? And she's like, yeah, honestly, this has been going on for like 10 hours now. I just keep seeing things and they just keep not being there. And and so I was like, yeah, I'll hang out with you for a little longer. And she's like, yeah, I've just got like a stomach ache. I was like, when was the last time you ate? And she's like, oh, I don't really know. I like slept last night, like just in my bivy sack in the snow, and then yeah, and then I just got up and started walking. And so like she came through the aid station that I was sleeping at like 2 hours before me, and I caught her pretty quickly.
Well,
and
sorry.
But here's the best part is that my like neck was like killing me, and so I was like, all right, I will make you a deal. I will carry your sled with my backpack on it because I can move way faster with your sled with both our bags on it, and you'll be able to move faster. And like, we'll both get places faster. It'll be great. And you can like ride it on the downhills and I'll just run next to you. And all you have to do is carry my backpack on the downhills. And she's like, well, I don't know. I don't want to like cheat. And I was like, we should do it.
Is there
I was like, who fucking cares?
Exactly. Is there a no helping rule?
No. So what's weird is that there is like a rule, or like it's totally fair to like help your competitors or whatever. But she was like, I don't want to cheat. And I was like, let's try it. And so like we tried it really quick. And I was like, oh my God, sleds are so much easier. And she had like an absurdly heavy sled for like how tiny of a lady she is. But it was still way easier with my backpack and her bags in there than just with my backpack. That's how much easier the sled was.
So did she finally concede into helping?
For like a mile. And then she like hallucinated an aid station. And then she was like, okay, let's stop doing it so that we don't get DQ'd. And I was like, okay. And then I like realized that she was like actually worried about getting DQ'd. And she was the lady who finished after me, and she's like super nice. She's like great lady and like super stoked, even though she was like obviously bonking and hallucinating a lot.
Yeah, I can't say I'd be Joe Rule follower in a survival situation. I can tell you that, you know, if you want, this would be a great time for you to try to get some more sponsor dollars out of Joe D, because, you know, he loves this stuff. This is what he did for years, was the crazy, you know, endurance fucking, what do you call it, racing, adventure racing.
Yeah.
So like you should call him, or I should just, you know, tell him you did this and be like, dude, you want the people who are like not bitching and Spartaning upping and helping crippled people and finishing 7th. You know, this guy finished last and he rooed his way to the finish. You know what I mean? We'll get you some sponsor dollars.
He only tried to drop out twice.
But you didn't. River, what's going
didn't.
on, buddy? River just walked in to show me. So we bought
nice.
River.
New helmet.
We bought River.
Nice.
River wanted this helmet really badly. Jackson wanted receiver gloves. You followed my amazing story yesterday.
I wrote number 0 on the back.
Why did you write a number 0? Just to be cool?
Yeah.
So they have these little plastic helmets sitting around.
Yeah, it's just fake.
You guys keep button heads?
This is warning, not for contact play.
Right.
It's just fake.
Right. But he really wanted it. And I was like, buddy, we don't have to get it. Can we just, and then he's like, his little eyes started welling up and it's like, you can't say no to this face. Right. I mean, come on.
Oh, look at it.
So we're at this, it's called Play It Again Sports. I don't know if they're everywhere or not, but they're just, you buy used equipment and used bikes and whatever. And so these people are eating their Chinese food while they work. It's this like guy who's maybe my age, kind of heavy set, and there's a kid and they're just like talking and eating. And I think like that's not cool anyway, but especially in today's like climate, like go eat, like don't eat in front of us. So he's sitting there and he's chomping on us, whatever. And as I'm ringing it up, he goes, you know, that's not like a real helmet. You can't use it for actual play. And I was like, no, he's going for the NFL. And like, I just looked at River, because I didn't say it like it was a joke. I looked at you like you're a fucking idiot. And so then I just looked at River and I was like, you're ready for the NFL, aren't you? Like, motherfucking, yeah. Like I have a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old with me. I have children. I understand the difference between a toy and a real fucking helmet with a fucking chin strap. So meanwhile, they're like,
where the chin strap was.
and he even said something about the fucking thing to like one of his friends came in. I was going to say this for Davis and Chase now. Chase does not get the story, but the Aaron episode gets it. This guy, like, they even said something about it because one of his friends came over, like, "Yo, we don't have time to take a break, so we're eating Chinese food." It's like, no, go take a fucking break. Go take 10 minutes. No one wants to see you chomping on fucking Chinese food, even if there wasn't a fucking virus active, let alone with shit going on.
At multiple of the like outdoor retail stores I worked at, it was like a rule that you just like couldn't eat Asian food at the store anywhere.
Oh, right.
Because it just smelled like so
like,
strongly.
If you want to have a bar and then someone walks in, like, that's fine. But dude, like lunch, like meals are for meals.
Yeah. Not on the floor. People don't want to watch other people eat.
You're not at your, you know what I mean? Like, give me a fucking break.
Yeah. I get it.
Well, I was already in the mode of you're a fucking idiot eating your Chinese food. And then he asked me if I knew that this plastic piece of shit helmet for $20 wasn't a real helmet that my son can't wear for fucking playing football.
You should bring it back and say that your son got a concussion.
Hey, I know this is Play It Again. And I know you guys like do like 70% refunds on the equipment. My son's
You've
dead.
You've got a choice. Either I get $15 back or you get a lawsuit.
So, so since you won't be making all this money on the circuit, are you gonna? What are you gonna do? You just gonna fucking? What are you gonna do the next few months?
That's a good question. I haven't really put much thought into it. I don't know. Go to the desert. I mean, I assume the UAE thing is still going to go on, so I'll just get really good at sand running. I got nothing going on.
Yeah, it's too soon to predict the UAE business.
Yeah, I mean, if everybody dies, then it's like, if I die,
yeah,
it's
if it's
not
our
my
time to go, it's our time to go.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll probably do some like FKTs or something, or give them a whirl.
What do you have your eye
I
on?
haven't put a whole lot of thought into this, if you haven't noticed.
Well, that's what I was asking. If you had any time and all your you know, that's what happens since you've back from the world ending. What did you have for breakfast today? Where did you go?
Let's see. I went downstairs to the hotel breakfast place, which was abysmal at best. I made myself 2 mini waffles and ate them, and they were not fully cooked. And then I walked over to the gas station and got myself a nice coffee, and that's where I'm at. Coffee doesn't do anything at this point, by the way. I had a shit ton of caffeine this weekend.
Well, you know who you might have to look out for? Because we were talking about.
Say Ben Greenfield. I've been trolling all of his things recently.
What is he telling us how we should survive?
Ben Greenfield? Yeah, he's like just selling all his stuff because on the basis that he's a extreme sports athlete and does races, which neither one is true at this point.
Well, what was I going to say? So my wife and I had a very frank discussion yesterday because, you know, my wife is like me. We're not panicky people. We're not, you know, buy 8 years of toilet paper people. We're very rational people.
Yep.
But you know, we think about things, right? Like what is really happening here? Like we've gone to the grocery store, but we've never this is my first Costco trip since the craziness happened. But my wife is in prep for a show. My wife's a bodybuilder, and that's not stuff that you can get easily. Like in a worst case scenario, me and my kids can eat fucking garbage for a month, but like my wife has to keep a really strict schedule. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go to Costco and get you a bunch of stuff, a bunch of chicken, you know, a bunch of veggies, like more than we need, and we'll freeze a bunch of it.
Yeah.
Right. But that made me think, while we're talking, like Nicole has a very particular diet. So even in a state like Colorado where they sell a lot of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, even before I left, like, and before it was called a pandemic, like Trader Joe's was like insane. Like I walked in there one day because I eat a lot of snacks and they have the best snacks. And I like got all my snacks and I went to the checkout line and there was like 20 people in each line. And I was like, oh, I'm not doing this. And I put my snacks back and left.
Right.
And I was just like, and so like.
Did you eat any of them? Be honest.
Oh, dude. Okay. So here's the best part. So, I don't know.
They're not listening.
I'm gonna alter my story a little bit.
I don't think they're listening. The president of TJ's is not listening.
Oh no, not Trader Joe's. Not that. During the race, I had all these snacks and I was like, okay, I need like all the snacks. And like I had a ton of Sustainably and I had like a ton of sports stuff, whatever. And once I like realized how fucked I was, I just started offloading all of it. And was just like, I need to lose weight. It was like, did you watch the hot air balloon thing?
No.
The hot air balloon movie, Aeronauts? Well, basically, in a hot air balloon, if you start going down and you don't want to crash into the ground, you just start throwing things out.
I've seen Apollo 13.
Yeah, same thing. That was me between mile 50 and 80. Was just like totally just dump, like I would open bags of powder and just like dump it all out and just be like, ah!
Dude.
And then I was like taking chocolate.
The moose are going to be healthy as fuck out there, or whatever's alive to eat that stuff.
Dude, I saw 3 creatures. I saw 2 chipmunks and 1 bird. That's how inhospitable a place it is.
Well, that sounds like
yeah.
That's the solution, by the way.
What's that? Go to middle of nowhere? Yeah, totally. That was why they had the race. Like, the guy apparently got some flack from people for having the race, and I was like, are you kidding me? You got together like 40 people in -20 all bundled up, and then you sent them off into the woods by themselves. Like nobody's getting sick.
I gotta say though, again, these are all topics I was going to cover with Josh, and maybe I still will. But if you're going to cancel your race, fine. If you're going to do your race, fine. Like that's up to you,
yeah,
right? But
it's people's own problems. If they
but I have seen people say, okay, we're doing our race. We're going to send them off in waves of 10, and we're going to enforce no high fives and a 3-foot social distance. I'm like, you're going to enforce that? Are you going to send a drone behind each person?
to
Yeah.
make sure no one high fives and keeps 3
Yeah.
feet between each other. Like, just don't have the race.
Yeah. I don't get it, but I mean, this one genuinely seemed fine though, because it was like,
No, dude, you're fine. You're in the fucking, you're in
after
Antarctica.
they
You're
said
fine.
go.
Dude, your race is fine. I'm just pointing out,
Yeah.
because I'm actually in like, there's like an event professionals group, which is really good because it's actually not just a typical garbage Facebook group. It's got a lot of like people that do real business, right? Like, hey, I need, this thing
Yeah.
for real things, like expensive timing equipment or whatever, right? Hey, has anybody worked with this so-and-so vendor before? Whatever.
Money may actually be exchanged.
Exactly. But this is, but yeah, then there's occasionally like, hey, here's what we're doing. We're making sure no one high fives.
Yeah, we didn't high five either. They actually were like, we were going to get hand sanitizer for all the aid stations, but it's sold out everywhere, so just don't put your hands in the bags. And we were all like, yeah, sounds fair.
See, it's funny you said Trader Joe's ran out. I bet around here, like Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, like probably aren't too bad because like people with money, I don't think act as crazy. Like they're slightly more educated. I mean, I hate to say this, but they don't act as crazy. Whereas everybody going to Walmart and fucking Publix just fucking think, let me buy, all this toilet paper that I can eat in the apocalypse.
Yeah, I know. I don't understand the toilet paper obsession. Like, I can literally just like wipe my ass with anything I want, and then my ass is wiped. Or like I can poop and take a shower. Like
those do seem like obvious solutions to a very simple problem.
Yeah, I still need food though, and I still need water.
Right. Maybe those two things are a wiser spend.
No, dude, need toilet paper. I also think paper towels are much better toilet paper than toilet paper is. So
it's a little rough, don't you think?
My 2 cents.
A little rough.
I like the roughness. Feels good.
Well, it will eventually clog your pipes. I think you could survive a couple weeks, but eventually it would clog your pipes.
I don't know. I mean, I lived in a car and I definitely did not have toilet paper.
Well, you lived in a car.
Yeah.
That's different than
my butt felt great. Oh, clog. I thought you meant like clog. Sorry. My brain isn't working. I thought you meant like clog my pipes, like my internal pipes, not like plumbing pipes.
Right.
I get it. My brain's not working.
Did you wear a bunch of craft gear on the outside?
Dude, actually, so huge sponsor plug, but like my kit was like fucking phenomenal. I literally had a base layer, a like lightly insulated vest, and so my base layer was the same one I wore in Sweden, and then I had this like soft shell rain jacket, same one I wore in Sweden, and then I had a puffy jacket, and that was it. And I like crushed it. And like I just came up on people who had like clothes hanging off of them, or they were like freezing, and like loads of like everyone with a sled had like a million clothes, and I was just like perfect the entire time. Like I like rolled up to that 50-mile aid station and went to sleep in all my clothes, and it was totally dry, and like it was awesome.
Just so without neck issues, you might have been okay for this race.
Dude, without neck issues, I think I would have done great. But
will you do this race again? Would you do this race
totally.
again? Oh wow!
I mean, even while I was wallowing, I was like, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna bring a sled and not be a total idiot.
Oh, will you do Killington? By the way, Killington 24 hours.
Maybe. I'm not contracted to go, so.
No, but I'm saying, but you seem to like that.
Yeah, but it's a week before Tahoe, and I really like Tahoe, and I really like OCRWC, and there's way more money at those two races than at Sweden. So if they put up a ton of prize money than Killington, if they put up a ton of prize money at Killington, then yeah, I'll probably go to Killington. But I don't know. Currently, there's no reason to go. I mean, we'll probably make like $1 million thing out of it, and then nobody will be able to get it. But I don't know.
All right. Thanks. I know you're hurting,
Not
And
really, just my neck.
okay, and I'm sure a lot of people are reaching out to you. I'm sure your DMs were blowed up. So I appreciate you making time for me.
They were bloated. I don't totally understand why people are like, everyone's like, great job, you did amazing. That's so impressive.
I did not say
And
that.
I don't,
I just
I know,
said you
I don't
live.
get
I'm
it.
like, you're alive.
Yeah. Like, I will say that this race, like out of every race that I've ever done or seen, like hands down, hardest race to finish. And like, I think 1 in 6 people dropped, and like there wasn't that many people, but that's like a really good finisher rate anyway. That's like 82% or something. They just made it so hard to drop that people just kept going, like me. Like I tried to drop, and they just made it so annoying to drop that people just like finished anyway. And yeah, I thought that was really cool. I told them that too. I was like, I really appreciated you guys being total assholes about the dropping.
All right, let's do a quick screenshot. Hang on. There's that one. And then we'll do one more. Hang on. There you go. All right, dude. Talk soon.
All right.